Hi, I'm Tony Nichols, and welcome to Chamber Chat. Welcome to Chamber Chat, a program put together by the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce to keep you informed on what's going on in your chamber and in your community. Joining us on Chamber Chat today, a first-time guest of Chamber Chat, Mr. Cooley. Now, before I officially welcome you, I think you've been the president, certainly a past president of the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce, Rotaries, and I think the only thing you haven't been president of would be the city of Salisbury, which would mean the mayor. But Art Cooley, welcome to the program.
Well, I don't live within the city limits.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Very good. Art, what are you here to talk about today?
I wanted to talk about the upcoming holiday basketball tournament called the Governor's Challenge.
You know, I know if many people that are watching are like me, I've heard about this and I've seen it on television. I've seen advertisements for it. You know, outside of a basketball tournament, because I get that. What is this Governor's Challenge?
Well, it is a big social event. Actually, there's been a holiday tournament taking place at the Civic Center for probably 34 years. But since tourism got involved about 2005 and then came to our Rotary Club and made a presentation, and the Rotary Club got enthused about what it could do for the community, it's grown, developed into the Governor's Challenge about 2010. And since then, it's just skyrocketed as an event in the holiday season.
You mentioned, so your Rotary Club has taken the initiative to bring this on as a project or to support it. Why do that?
Well, when we heard the presentation 6 or 7 years ago by tourism, we were impressed by what they were doing for the community, and this was one of the projects that needed some assistance, and Dan Williams at the time, I believe, had spearheaded an effort to help them by trying to sell sponsorships and ads to local businesses so that we could build the tournament into something bigger and more successful than it had been.
Gotcha. So why a holiday tournament?
Well, the kids are not in school.
Makes sense.
Having something that they can do that's positive and safe from an environmental standpoint. You know where your youngsters are. For the basketball player, it's an opportunity to stay in shape. But really, perhaps one of the driving forces here was why High Coach Butch Waller really jumped on this for both that reason and the fact that it gave more exposure to our players. You know, we don't play on the in the big metropolitan areas like Baltimore, Washington. Coaches, college recruiters don't often see a lot of our players.
Sure.
Having a tournament down here that could draw enough attention, let our players play in a civic center, a big venue, and play against tougher competition, stay in shape in the off season. So there are a number of positives.
Oh, it sounds like a very positive thing. Now, I'm assuming this ties directly into the initiative that over the years we've heard about across the United States. You know, finding young men and women that outside of sports or outside of something to plug into, they might be going down a different path. And I would think that along with exposure to bigger schools, better opportunities for them in a sport, it ties into that same initiative.
The initiative
across the United States that we've heard about sweeping across the United States for years, events like this that would take an athletic event and tie it into not only helping the kids with an opportunity for a scholarship or to be seen, but to keep them off the streets.
That is certainly a part of it, and the economic benefit to the community is also a part of it because you're in the off season from a tourism standpoint, but when you bring in teams, particularly the way it's going to be this year, as we've grown from 28 teams to 100 teams this year, the economic impact on the community is phenomenal, and those dollars get churned in the community through the Rotary Club. The percentage that we get from selling ads or sponsorships go right back into the community
Sure.
to support the Christian shelter or Meals on Wheels or building wheelchair ramps or other things. So
You just said you've gone from 28 teams to over 100. What other changes have you seen since you guys started this event?
well, when Rotary came on board, that was the year that the National High School Coaches Association was trying to sponsor it. The following year was the first year of the Governor's Challenge, and it's grown from 28 then on up to 100 teams now. 71 of those teams are going to need places to stay,
Right.
eat, buy gas, and most of the others are going to buy gas and buy food. So the impact's going to be phenomenal. The attendance is going up from paid attendance of 3,000 to probably 4,000 or 5,000 this year, as we've doubled in size from the 53 teams. We've added girls teams. This year we're adding JV teams, and this year we're adding live streaming, which is a phenomenal aspect, because now college coaches across the country that might have an interest in a prospect can look at it on live streaming or see it a few days later, download it, and have an opportunity to watch a good player that they've heard about that they but can't make the trip in here to see him. So
Wow.
that addition this year has really taken this up to where it is the largest holiday basketball tournament in the eastern United States,
Wow.
and second in the country.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a very big deal.
So, you spoke just a minute ago about how this impacts the community.
Mhm.
Certainly, with the from a tourism aspect, people coming in, eat, buying gas, hotels. Has it outgrown Salisbury until you're having to go, like many other events that the Department of Tourism with Wicomico County has done, that you're outgrowing our local hub here and you're having to go out to the surrounding communities to find hotel rooms? I would think so with 100 teams.
Hotel rooms, yes.
Yeah.
Not necessarily much else. We've got a good nucleus of venues for them to play in. When Rotary got involved, there was one venue. It was the Civic Center, and there were 2 courts. Now we play 5 games simultaneously, or will this year, 2 at the Civic Center, while there's 1 at each of the 3 city high schools that are all within a
Right.
few miles of each other. So that hub makes it an ideal place to host the tournament. We'll fill up all our hotel rooms, and then we'll overflow into Ocean City or wherever folks want to go. I think tourism has worked with Ocean City on some of this,
All right.
but it'll be great for our restaurants, for some of our shops, great for gas stations.
So, you mentioned a few minutes ago about sponsorships, I believe, or how businesses are getting involved, and certainly the Rotary getting involved. Why would my business want to sponsor this event?
There are really 2 reasons. One, from a social aspect, this is becoming a community event. There's so many people that go to this, they look forward to it the next year to see friends or family. It's a great place during the holidays when your kids are out of school that parent and child can go together, and if they enjoy basketball and watch basketball, it's not terribly expensive. Children under 11 are free. Students get in for $5 a day, adults for 10, or the whole week for 30. The programs are free. So you've got an event that is both becoming a community event of its own, but it's also spending out money
Sure.
that's causing other good things to happen in the community beyond just economic, because of the dollars that go to civic clubs like Rotary that do other things,
Right.
the Halo Garden and that kind of stuff.
Sure. Where can people find out more about the event? Is there a website, or is there contact?
Yes, there is a
information?
website, and the program that they put out. Last year they had 3,000 of these, and one of the main reasons businesses ought to consider this, either an ad or a sponsorship, they don't have people going to the event don't have to pay for programs. They're free, so they're handed out.
Right.
Last year there were over 3,000. They ran out 20 pages. This year there'll be over 5,000, and there'll be 40 pages. Last year there'll be 60 pages, 5,000 programs that are going to get in front of people without anybody having to spend any money, and it's going to be terrific exposure for ads or sponsorships.
Fantastic. Well, Art, it's a fantastic opportunity to do something for someone that you might not otherwise get a chance to touch that person in this Governor's Cup Challenge. Thanks for coming in and talking about it.
Thanks for having us.
And Jake, you probably ought to be glad he's not in the city limits. So you might have adding to your resume.
I know Jake, and I know his folks, and I wouldn't try and run again.
There you go. There you go. All right, thanks for joining us on Chamber Chat.
Thank you, Tony.
We'd like to give you an opportunity now to take a look at the upcoming events with the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to Chamber Chat right here on PAC 14. Joining us now, I think you have a new title now. You may be the most frequented person on Chamber Chat. Memo Diriker, Executive Director with Beacon. Welcome back, brother.
My pleasure to be here, as usual.
I think you're also the last past president of the Chamber of Commerce. So that'll be yours for forever.
That's it. That's it.
What do you want to talk about today, Memo?
The economic forecast, our annual economic forecast of the Chamber. It's a good event coming up.
So when is the event going to take place?
That's going to be December 17th on the campus of Warwick Community College. And it's going to be a really interesting one this year.
All right, so let's back up to 30 years. Why do a forecast?
Well, our membership really enjoys finding out about what's going to happen in the coming year based on the predictions of people from different industry sectors. What we usually do is we bring somebody to talk about the international economy, the national economy, just the overall bigger picture, and then slowly focus in on the shore and Wycomico County and Salisbury. But even more interesting is hearing people talking about what's happening in their industry and what the people in the know think is going to happen in those industries in the coming 3, 6, 12 months. And that way they can prepare their businesses, they can do some contingency planning. Forecasting an economy is looking into a crystal ball. There are things you can figure out, and there are things you never expect come and hit you without any warning. But if you are prepared for what is likely to happen as well as what could happen, you're better off. That way you're not constantly in a reactive mode. Right. You're a little bit proactive. You've done your contingency planning, etc. So historically, of all the events we put together, this is one of the favorite events for our membership. They really appreciate it. They come to us with questions as to what they want discussed. And we usually have a very good response and pretty good success rate with it.
For those of you that don't know, tuning in at Chamber Chat, Memo travels from continent to continent to talk about these kinds of things. So the next question you would be suited to answer. How accurate have they been over the years?
Well, actually, this is something we're very proud of, especially on the predictive accuracy for what's happening on the shore and in the county, etc. We're very, very good. In fact, we regularly beat the predictions of our peers in other parts of the state of Maryland, as well as other chambers around the country. The reason we're able to do this is out of necessity. In a rural area with the #1 chamber in the region, we have had to build these relationships that enables us to really get a finger on the pulse of the region. We're not as accurate as, say, Wall Street Journal when it comes to the international economy, but that's a little bit less relevant to us. We prefer to hear that particular part of the forecast from other people. We bring people who are economists for banks, etc. So they tell us. We don't have to guess at it.
Sure.
They do their research. They share it with us. On the shore, with the predictions of what we're going to happen in our industries, we're very, very close every year. The only times when we really weren't able to do a very highly accurate prediction was, understandably, when we had the impact of a bad hurricane,
right.
When we had 9/11, when we had the height of the Iraq War. Those are the kind of big disruptions that make it a little bit more difficult to predict what's going to happen.
That's much more of a moving target.
Correct.
Than a typical ebb and flow of economy.
Exactly.
So we bring in, and I know you've spoken many times, and you provide support at every economic forecast. But what do you look for in a panelist or a speaker at the economic forecast?
We're looking for two things really. Number one, are they connected to the industry? Are they bringing solely their personal view, or are they speaking for a number of people? So we look at, have they been members of trade organizations? Have they been heavily engaged in their trade organizations? Right. Are they individuals that others in their organizations, trade organizations, their peers are turning to for advice? And this is the kind of individual that really has not only their perspective, but they have a good understanding of the perspective of their peers. And when they disagree, they're perfectly welcome to, and they do say, while most of my peers think this way, here's how I think. It's open, it's on the table, and the audience can discern which side of the prediction they want to go with. But the other thing we're looking for is individuals that have a comfort with crowds. They are able to communicate well, they articulate well, they have some kind of a rapport with the crowd, because you can have the very best technical forecaster out there, very best individual. If they cannot communicate what's going on in their industry, the audience is not going to get 100% out of it. Sure. So historically, we've been very blessed to have very, very strongly connected individuals, good network connections, and very comfortable in front of crowds, good public speaking skills.
Very good. Historically, we've had the Eastern Shore delegation for lunch that day. Can we expect that again this year?
Yes, this is bar none our most successful general membership luncheon event every year.
Yes,
it is always sold out. It is very interesting because you get to hear from the people who are in the know about what's going to happen in Annapolis. And this year is especially interesting because now there's a whole new roster of elected officials who've had a year under their belts, the so-called freshman class.
I was going to say the freshman class.
They're exactly coming back with that year's worth of experience under their belts. And remember, some of the people who were around last year did not survive the election process, so they were not able to tell us what really happened this past year because the game plan had changed. This time we don't have that. And if you look at it, we're entering a big election year, presidential election year. So it's a very interesting time in the state of Maryland. You have 1 year of the new administration under everybody's belt. You have 1 year under the belts of these freshman class representatives and senators that are coming to us. It's going to be a very interesting point of view that we're going to hear.
Tell us one more time when and where.
December 17, it starts in the morning, and at lunchtime we do the luncheon. It's going to be at Warwick Community College.
Very good. Memo, it's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Pleasure is all mine.
We'd like to give you one more opportunity to take a look at the upcoming events with the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to Pat 14. You're watching Chamber Chat, and joining us now is LaunchSBY's coordinator, Bobby Audley. Did I say that right?
You got it right.
All right. Tell us what LaunchSBY is, Bobby.
Sure. So LaunchSBY or LaunchSBY is an initiative that grew out of a group of people coming together late last year, to try to say, how can we encourage support and give resources to entrepreneurs in our community. And so what directly came out of it was the Entrepreneur Center, which is in the basement of the library. There's no better way to put it. It's been renovated, so it's a beautiful, beautiful space with tables, chairs, whiteboards, projector screens, Keurig coffee machine, some snacks and water bottles, and refrigerator, a lounge area, really a space for entrepreneurs. And then LaunchSBY, the kind of meaning behind that is to fill the space with different workshops and things that will draw entrepreneurs out to give them a reason to use the space.
Yeah, I know the conversation that has been centered around Salisbury's downtown and how, the thought behind making that a hub of entrepreneurism. I was part of some of those conversations and how Launch was formulated or come to being. Have you seen much use of the facility?
Yes and no. Okay. I've seen consistent use from a small number of people. Okay. So we're really trying to grow it and use it. I mean, the space can hold up to 100 people. And so to get as many people using it as possible, after the business competitions in the spring at SU, we saw a couple folks come out to consistently use the space. We actually had a Salisbury student who used it all throughout the summer and has used it since to get together with his team that he's compiled with the business that he's creating. He submitted for the Bernstein competition, and so he actually gave us a wonderful testimonial saying the space and the resources there were a big part of why he's still doing his business, because after the competition, not winning for him was a moment of rejection. So so we've seen that consistency, but as far as large numbers, we haven't. We did run a QuickBooks course with MCE. It was MCE's QuickBooks course that they ran over the summer we have a 14-seat computer lab in the space as well, and so they ran that there, and there was about 10 folks who came every week.
So that you have the computers. Describe the facility for us.
Yeah.
What's in there? What can people, if they were going to have an event there, what's there that they don't have to bring that they could utilize?
Yeah, so twofold. Number one, I'll get to the event, but also the idea of just the entrepreneur who wants to come use the space. There's free high-speed Wi-Fi, which is its own separate Wi-Fi. You're not using the same that the library has upstairs, so its own high-speed Wi-Fi. We did just purchase a printer, which has the ability not only a lot of prints, but also to fold and staple a booklet. Okay. So if an entrepreneur needs something for a business competition or marketing purposes or going to an investor, they can print that there instead of having to go to a FedEx office or something like that. Then it also has, like I said, there's a couch and 2 lounge chairs as a place to relax and just get some quiet space, as well as there is a conference room that we have not developed it yet, but it is a separate space that if someone has that need, we can work with them to fix it to their needs. But as far as events go, like I said, it holds 100 people, and we have tables, chairs, projector screen, 5 whiteboards, and
whiteboards.
Yes,
you have to have whiteboards because you're drawing all over the place, or either you have easels all over the place, or you're sticking them to the wall. Whiteboards. I mean, that would bring me just for the whiteboards.
yeah. And we had Bill Burke brought 50 Salisbury students from their Living Learning community for entrepreneurship to the space for an event, and we used every single whiteboard for a brainstorming session. So you're right, really, really awesome resource there.
You talk about events. Tell us a little more about some of the events or how the space has been utilized now, and how you'd like to see that grow. So
one of the things that in the research I did on how to grow a co-working space or a space like this in communities is you need events that draw entrepreneurs to them. And so we have MCE, we have SBDC, and all these wonderful organizations providing these events anyway. So my mission has been to see if we can serve them in a way. So MCE, wanting a larger space in downtown, is hosting another QuickBooks course. You can sign up now for that this fall. They're also doing a course on how to write a business plan and a course on how to pitch to investors. We worked with SBDC in the spring. John Hickman has a phenomenal presentation about how to do that 1-minute pitch for a business competition. We ran that course in the spring and plan to do that again for the business competition. So those are some of the examples. And again, just working with the local groups that are already doing these amazing courses, and how can we give them a space in downtown and a space that holds up to 100 people.
Give us a peek into, as scary as it may be, give us a peek into Bobby Audley's mind in terms of what you envision Launch Salisbury being. What are the plans? So
those are 2 different questions, a peek into my mind and then the vision. So I'll give you
hopefully somewhere they cross.
They do. So my vision, when I moved back to Salisbury in November, reached out to Professor Bill Burke to say, I hear there's an entrepreneurship community in this area. I'd love to be a part of it. And he connected me with LaunchSBY. And my vision was this space that is filled with entrepreneurs in this community, finding ways to work together, collaborate, and support each other. And that's what you're seeing in cities like DC and Baltimore and across the country. And so that would be my vision, a space in downtown Salisbury that brings entrepreneurs together, that brings all these entities and organizations that are supporting entrepreneurs together so they can come to one space, one location, and find all those things they need.
Very good. So where can we find out more about LaunchSBY?
So the best place is LaunchSBY.org. And we also have a Facebook page that we've kind of put some of our events on. And we have a Twitter page. It exists. I haven't put much time and effort into it, but we're trying to get out there on social media. But our entire calendar and location and everything is on our website, LaunchSBY.org.
Well, I know I'm talking to my team about hosting an event there. In fact, 2 events. Awesome. So I've been in the space, and it's really much more than you would think in the basement of the library. It's a very professional setting, yet at the same time has a relaxed feel for that entrepreneur setting that want to come in, kick back, and just put some thoughts in place.
Now the story I tell is when Bill Burke brought his class. These are freshman students, not from Salisbury, from anywhere across the state or the country. And when they came in, I know it sounds cliche to say, but they literally said, wow, because again, you're coming to the base. I used to say we're the first floor of the library and nobody could find us. And so let's the reality, we're in the basement of the library. But you really have to, and I encourage people, if they haven't been there since many, many years, come check it out. Come check it out and see what the space is and the renovations they've done.
Bobby, thanks for stopping in on Chamber Chat.
Thank you for having me, Tony. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Chamber Chat. As always, if you've missed any portion of this program or you'd like to see previous editions of Chamber Chat, you can log on to PAC14 and utilize their on-demand feature on pac14.org, or you can utilize the Chamber's website. Again, we'd like to thank you for joining us on this edition of Chamber Chat. My name's Tony Nichols, encouraging you to make a difference.